What Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach hides from the player in the game's intro. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach throws us into a huge building, and it is up to us to make our way out. But what sort of things do the developers hide from the player out of view? How do the developers pull off this evolving story in the intro? And how does it all work behind the scenes? Well, here on Horoscoped, you know we love dissecting horror games, so let's take a look. Dealing with crazy animatronics is one thing, but dealing with a city overrun with zombies is another. Dying Light is an open-world parkour zombie fighting experience like no other, and I'm happy to partner with them with the release of Dying Light on Nintendo Switch. Now you can fight to the horde on the go, tackle the world solo, or jump in with a few friends as you try your best to survive. Tap into gyro aiming to increase your accuracy, or utilize motion controls to immerse yourself into the game even more. And to make the experience even better, the enhanced and platinum editions of the game are now 50% off. So if you want to jump into your next insane adventure on the Switch, click the link in the description below to get 50% off the game. Also be sure to use my code to get a rare in-game item. And a huge thanks to Techland for sponsoring this video and supporting me as a creator. One of the things I was really looking forward to was checking out both the title screen and the opening cutscene of the game, but unfortunately, that isn't possible. Both the title screen and opening cutscene are essentially video files, and thus we aren't able to explore them. But jumping into the game lets us see some interesting things. Upon loading into the room, we normally see Glamrock Freddy in the mirror, and his movements respond to our own. But if we were to break the constraints of this event, we can see that the mirror itself is a flat reflection of Freddy. This is interesting, because lots of games use mirrored player objects instead of actual reflections. Like in the opening of Resident Evil 3's remake, where the character is duplicated and matches the player's movements. But they actually have a true flat reflection here, which is pretty interesting. Although camera rotation tends to break the illusion. We can also see that while the player is within Glamrock Freddy, that he is simply a pair of floating arms. Once we exit Freddy, we can see that our player is only a single floating arm as well, and we already have the watch on our hand despite not receiving it yet. As the conversation continues, we are told to look out the glass so we can see Vanessa, the security guard. She actually loads in right as we look out, and if we run up to the glass early and just wait, we can see her flashlight appear. You could argue that she just clicked it on, but in actuality her model just loads in with it already active. She then walks around the corner by Freddy's door and unloads. The player then has to hit the switch in the back of the room and then enter some vents. But we're going to pause for a moment. So in case you were curious, I wanted to show you what everything was like if we didn't do anything at all. Let's say we started the game and instead of accepting the watch, we got out into the main room. What's interesting is that by doing so, we can see the animatronics before they're active, like inside the vents. Roxanne Wolf is just staring into her mirror admiring her wolfy self, while Glamrock Chica is, having a bad day. She's spazzing out a bit and her guitar is clipping through the floor beneath her. It's interesting that the guitar is like this, and yet she has animation applied. Because the first time we see her, she's normally rocking out. Back in the vents though, we normally can't see the animations of the characters clearly. Our view is obscured due to the metal grating. But this is what Roxanne looks like when she's talking to herself in the mirror. There's a lot of personality put into the animation despite it being used so far away. Because it isn't needed due to it being out of view, there isn't a reflection in the mirror either. Glamrock Chica is the same way, although we can see her shredding if we leave the vent quickly, I believe. If we decide to enter their rooms at this point, Chica does have collision and we can walk through her while she's rocking out. But Roxanne doesn't have any collision at all, so we can just walk or jump through her. But I'm sure you're curious about Montgomery Gator given all the noise that is coming from the room. Well, it turns out it's just noise. It's pitch black inside their area, and no animatronic is to be found. After leaving the Shadow Realm, we then work on freeing Freddy from his room and then combine with him to become a super powerful pair of floating orange arms. We head into the underground area and then eventually find ourselves near the first aid station. Now, I've seen people comment about wanting to know where the heck Vanessa comes from in this area. There's a locked gate and it's like she comes out of nowhere. And, well, quite frankly, she does. She spawns just out of view between the pop-up station and the fence. It's interesting too, because if we take a look at her face, the developers didn't necessarily line up the voice with her mouth. Take a listen.
Got here.
Well, you totally blew it tonight, you know. Your system crashed and you ruined the show. Now, parts and services have you on reduced power. They said it's a safety precaution. Just one more thing to deal with.
I apologize.
Now, this might also be due to the audio source distance as well, but I'm not sure. It's not like we see her face anyways, so it totally makes sense that this is the case, but I thought I'd share it. She then walks back into her corner with a locked gate and just quantum leaps through time and space. So we get back inside of Freddy and press on. It isn't long until Freddy abandons us and we face off against Chica. And as we can see, Chica is just chowing down on the garbage. The developers continually spawn and fade away various food-related items, so she'll always have something to munch on. We just have to be careful that she doesn't munch on us. But if she does, something that's neat is that the game essentially unloads the entire map except for key objects and characters. So way out in the void, we can see Glamrock Freddy just chilling in the stillness of space. Way to go, superstar. And that's an alternative look at the game's intro. Subscribe now for more Security Breach game-breaking videos, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers!